One of the cool things about Microsoft is they never really stand pat with what they have. They're always working on something in the background. This is no more evident than when the Xbox One launched, and it seemed like they knew that they had launched an underpowered console, and it wasn't soon after Phil Spencer took over that they had already started design on the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. And those turned out to be very good ideas because, again, they came out with them in 2016 and 2017 respectively, and that they saw a little bit of a bump in the population. They were actually much better consoles than the launch Xbox One, and it really went over well with fans, especially the Xbox One X, which was a very powerful console and still is actually a very powerful console. And funny thing is that it still goes for a good amount of money on eBay, and you can get a good amount of money by trading it in on like at GameStop and things like that because it's such a great console. And honestly, they did a good job with that, and that kind of sprung into what we get with the Xbox Series X as being a good console. But now we have some interesting stuff coming from it looks like Brad Sams, and although I do want to say, even though he's a very reliable person, this is one of the things where you still take it as a grain of salt type situation because you never know exactly what can happen. Sometimes things leak out and it end up not happening. Sometimes things get scrapped. Sometimes people can just be wrong, and sometimes people can follow kind of a wrong path and leads them kind of astray into a story that's not exactly accurate. So anything can happen, so keep it in mind as we go forward. So it's best to always take everything with a grain of salt. Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Crap Gamer, and this is Crap Gamer Reviews, your home of gaming news, opinions, reviews, and much more. You'll probably notice some changes around here, but that shouldn't stop you from leaving us a like, and possibly maybe even consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your free time with me today. It means a lot to me, and if you are spending some of your free time watching my videos, please leave a like on the videos that you do watch. It helps the video to be seen, and it helps the channel to grow in general, so thank you guys very much. Now, this wouldn't be the first time that we heard that Microsoft was working on something of an upgrade, maybe a smaller Xbox console, and now sources are claiming that Microsoft is already working on a smaller, more efficient version of the Xbox Series X chip, which may lead to a smaller console. Despite the brand's blunders over the course of the previous console generation, Xbox has been seemingly revitalized ever since the inception of the Xbox Series X and S consoles. Back in 2020, however, Microsoft has been hard at work leveraging its newfound strength, and sources are now claiming that the next revision of the Xbox Series X might be more efficient than ever before. Specifically, tech journalist Brad Sams seems to be convinced that Microsoft has got a smaller, more efficient version of the Xbox Series X silicon in the pipeline, and that it should be reasonably far along by now. While this might sound like incredibly exciting news at first, the truth is likely to be much more mundane after all. According to Sams himself, who claims to know that Microsoft is working on a revision of the Series X chip, these optimizations are highly unlikely to lead to performance improvements in games. In fact, Sams went so far as to say that even if future Xbox Series X console revisions do get the purported chip upgraded, they are still likely to use the same chassis and blueprint design, except more efficient. No telling if this is related to rumors of new Xbox hardware getting announced later in 2022 as well, although that is specifically stated to possibly be rumored as the streaming dongle that Microsoft has been rumored to be working on for a long time now. Of course, there's a third rumor to take in count as well. The mysterious Xbox codename Keystone. While Sam's claims of these being a more efficient and effective Xbox Series X chip, it could also potentially be the development of a new Xbox console. The journalist himself was careful to dampen the hype. These alterations won't generally be felt by regular gamers, and Keystone, if it ever comes to fruition, is likely more substantial than a relatively small-scale Series X revision. Now, virtually every console receives several hardware revisions over the course of its lifetime, and though it's entirely possible that Microsoft eventually pushes out a smaller or slimmer version of the Xbox Series X, it still might be too early to tell if that's going to happen. To that end, the alleged chip optimizations might not lead to any chassis change right off the bat, and they're almost certainly not going to make games coming out on the Xbox in the future run better. That said, Microsoft could be interested in launching a digital-only Xbox Series X in the future, which would then almost certainly be equipped with the chip that Sams believes is being developed. And it could actually have a profile more similar to the Series S due to not needing a physical disk drive. With the PlayStation 5 having sold nearly twice as many units as Xbox Series X, Microsoft is sure to be looking forward to ways to making this console even more appealing, and this may be one of the steps that the company is taking to achieve its goals. So it does look like something is in the works. They got something kind of cooking up, but is it going to be something that is going to drastically change what we have. I think that's something that, all of us are kind of questioning right now ourselves. And, unfortunately, I don't really have an answer to that. I would love to be able to say, hey, I have an answer to that, but frankly, I don't. And it's just one of those things that, all these things kind of take time, and all these things kind of, sometimes the way that they play out can be a little bit different than what we see and what we expect from the outside kind of looking in. But I do have to say that Microsoft has done a really good job of making the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S very attractive consoles. Clearly, I mean, Game Pass is helping along the way as well. I know a lot of people that think that, or I see this on Twitter at least, and I know I should probably just stay off of Twitter, but sometimes I just have to scratch my head and just shake my head at the same time. And I'm just like, man, some of the things that people believe, like that Xbox doesn't, they're about to give up on Xbox, or Microsoft is about to give up on Xbox. And it's like, listen, they've invested almost $100 billion in the last couple of years in developers alone. They'll have 34 studios. If that's about to give up, then anything less than that is already giving up. So yeah, I do think that it's a little bit strange. To me, it does sound like Microsoft is all in on the gaming industry and the game consoles and stuff like that. It's very interesting to see how far along they've kind of come, and I can't wait to see what they'll be able to pull off in the future. I think that they're going to have some great exclusives. I think that they're going to have some really good Game Pass games, and I think it's going to continue to add to the reason to actually go out and buy an Xbox over the years. Microsoft has done a fairly good job of kind of rebounding this generation, and I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do after these things are kind of announced or whatever. So hopefully we see that sooner rather than later. I know I would be excited to see that. I'm sure a lot of you would be excited to see that. What do you guys want to see from a revised Xbox Series X? I'm always looking to find that out. And, like for me personally, would I mind a smaller Xbox Series X, or I would have bought a disk drive Xbox regardless, for the simple facts that, to be quite honest with you, I have a lot of games on disc still, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So, hopefully we continue to get consoles with a disk drive, but I'm not going to sweat it if we don't. So, hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from this, and I will link all of this in the description. You guys can check it out and let me know what you think. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can hit me up on Xbox. You can hit me up on PlayStation. You can hit me up pretty much anywhere, and I try to interact with people as much as possible. So always remember that. Thank you very much for watching one of my videos. If you do enjoy it, like the video, share it. You can subscribe as well. I always welcome that. Thank you so much. Bless y'all. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up, crap gamer out.